and welcome back to the Demis Hellen channel. We are back with another arpeggio video, and this one is the final one for the year. To kickstart the video, we're going to be looking at the chord structure, then we'll look at the pattern, and then we'll build the melody / arpeggio. So this is the chord structure we're using. You've just heard it in the preview, which is a 1-5-6-4 chord structure. So what that means is we're working in A minor, all white notes from A to A. Each note is a number. So we can see that here. If we just put this on A down here, A is 1. So that is our first chord. And then E is our fifth chord because it's a 1-5-6-4 chord structure. So A is 1. We ignore the notes not in the scale, which are orange. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, and E is 5. And then we build our standard chord structure. So the standard triad would be miss a note in the scale, add 1, miss a note in the scale, add 1. And that is our E minor chord there. So you can see here, that is the structure. A lovely progression, and you may recognize it from some of your favorite tracks. It is very common. So with that, we've got this pattern. So I'm going to show you how I've built this pattern first. So I'm going to delete this second half so you can see the thought process and just better understand what's going on. So you can see here, this is the melody pattern on the top. So this is the rhythm that we're having for the notation that you're going to hear at the top. And then this is the bass, or should we say the filled in gaps of this sequence. So what we're doing here is we've got, let's just circle this bit, missing 2 notes, missing 2 notes, miss 1, miss 2, miss 2. And that is our pattern. Very simple, very common. But then we're filling in the bass notes. So I'm just going to fill them in like this to start with. And if that's the sort of pattern you're going for, that's absolutely fine. Go ahead and use that. But I want to add a little bit more depth into this. So instead of sort of dropping an octave like this, which works lovely, usually you just go through and repeat the pattern like so, and you drop each second one. So then you get that pattern on the bottom, that kind of dum, 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 dum. So I didn't want that so regular in this one. So I've decided to drop this one and this one, and then this one. And it just sounds a little bit more fluid for this pattern. Whereas the other one had obvious sort of like bounces in the bass. This one just, it runs through to the next bar very nicely. And it just gives it a little bit more speed as well. That's another key to it. So choose which one you like better and then go with that one. So before we build the arpeggio, I just want to show you what we're using for sounds today. We are using my Spire Trance Essentials Volume 1, which is brand new to the website and is currently 25% off for Black Friday until the 2nd of December. So go and grab a copy if you want to get it a little bit cheaper. There will be a Christmas sale, but it won't be as much as what is currently on. So if you want a copy of it, you can get that now. And if you're a patron, you get early access to these videos as well. So that is the sound we're using there. We're using pluck number 2 and we're using lead number 11, if I remember right, lead number 11. So the pluck sounds like what we've heard. And then the lead sounds like this. And what we're doing here is we're picking a soft sound. So the lead is soft. It hasn't got too much attack in this case. And then the pluck is adding the attack in, so they complement each other nicely. Just gives it a little bit more power and a little bit more energy and presence. So we're going to use just the pluck for now. So let's call this look so we can see that. Okay, so let's build this out. So we're going to double its size and then we're going to make it 8 bars. And I'm just going to copy those across like so. Just going to bring that back. That was all a little bit odd. There we are. So I'm going to build the arpeggio from this now. I've got it from memory, but you can just refer back to this. And we're just using the root note, the root position of each chord for the bass. So the A, E, F, and D. And then we're using the third note of the chord here for the top melody just to get started with. So if we jump in, we're going to do 2 bars of the first one. So you can see A and C. And then we know that the next chord is an E minor. So we can jump up to E. And you can see G is correct there. And then we're going to move this one. I'm going to move to F because we have a 6 chord. And you can see here it's not quite kept that in scale. Just chuck it up 1 because that is the triad. So F to A. And if you're wondering how I've done that, just go back to the chord structure. You can see F and A. So you get more familiar with these as you work with them. And then finally, we've got a 4 chord, which is D minor. And there we are. That's right with the F. So we're going to do 2 variations of this. So I'm going to copy one over here and leave it. And we're going to start with this one. So we're going to make some movements because that's the arpeggio done there. That's what we're working with. Now we want to make movements where we guide the listener through the journey which the track is taking you on. So we can start here by shifting upwards. And usually I would say stick to the chords to start with. So you can see A, C, and E. So we've got A, C, and then we've got E here, but I'm using D as the sort of like the bridge between the two. And you can see how nicely that works. If you prefer just to go straight to the E, it really does depend on the track that you're creating, but you can choose what you want to do. I'm going to use this as a bridge, but I'm going to do the same thing with this one, but I'm just going to change it where it changes here. So with this one, we've got E, G, and then we've got B. So you can see that works really nicely. So I'm going to leave it as it is. And you can see we've dropped down to A. We can see we're working our way to F. So you can see here we've run out of space. So we could do something like that where we go down further than the actual notation for the next chord and then come back up. Let's have a look. Which works really nice, but we need to understand what we are doing here. So you can see we've got the bridging note, which is G, and then the next note would be F because you can see that's part of the chord structure. So we would either do G, F, and you can see A is in there. So the next note is C. So we could have something like that, which works, but it's not quite fitting. So we could do an upwards bridge, which works, but I like it falling here. So I'm going to use E. So that's breaking the mold a little bit out of the chord structure positions. And then let's just have a look here. So I'm going to hold that there. So you can see the change. We've got 1 full bar, then we've got a change halfway through, 1 full bar, then we've got 2 full bars, half a change, and then we're going to leave that all the way across, but I'm going to actually bring this down so it meets back to C. So we do have the option of doing something like that, D down to C, or we could go past C and use the B to bring it back up. And again, if you want to use this as a bridge, you can do. So let's use the D, because that's part of the chord structure. But I personally feel just the shift to the B and then back up works there. Again, experiment with how you want that to be. There is more possibilities. You don't have to just follow this exactly if you hear something different. So, works really nice. Another variation of this gives us a little bit more flexibility from this chord here. So you can see we go from G up to A in that chord, so that it's just one full tone of a step up to there, so there's no play between the notes. So like you can see here, we've got plenty of room to play between these two, but between these two we haven't got any room. So one way that we can do this is transpose this down one full octave, and now you can see that we've got this sort of seesaw effect. We've got up, down, up, and it gives it a little bit of a different vibe. So it gives you some nice contrast. So we're going to do the same again here. Let's just build this up like that. So it's the same as the first one. And then this one, I am also going to do the same thing. But you can see here we've got our E chord. So we've got E, and then we've got G and B. So we can utilize B here, and then we can use any note in between to bridge between that. So I'm going to pick, let's just pick E to start with. Kind of works. Works really nice. And then you can see here we've got F, A, and then C in this chord. So I'm going to bridge B to C. And then with this one, I'm going to bridge just upwards to A. So we've got D, and then we've got F, and then we've got A. And I'm just going to stick a C in at the end. Maybe. Yeah, C was a little bit too high. So let me guide you through what I'm doing here. You can see that we are bridging the gap, very similar to the first one, D to E. And then this one, because the chord was higher, went upwards, whereas this one now goes down. So it gives you a different variation. You could use those side by side. Not best to have a glass of water on the studio table, to be honest. You can see that it goes down and up, so we create this sort of like roller coaster through. Doesn't work for everything, but this one works really nice with the positioning of the chords. And then I've gone for that sort of crescendo at the end to give it a nice vibe. And again, we can do the same with the bass. There's nothing stopping you there, so let's just give you one more variation. Again, you can copy all of these, and if you're on Patreon, you can just download them all and pick the one that you like best. We can also move the basses, but be careful doing this because you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to create too much going on that it's more confusing than anything. So I'm going to go up to C, which is next in that chord structure, A, C, and E. So it can have a use, but that didn't sound good. So where I tend to use it is probably here and maybe here, but one or the other really. Let's just try this like so. So you can see it can have a use, it can have something going for it. So you can see F works quite nice. Depends on the tone that you're going for and what other elements you've got around it. But that is another idea. So there we are. That is the arpeggio for today. And then if we double that with our lead at the top here, let's just rename that to lead. Let's add some modulation in. This is controlling the filter. So there we are. that is your chord structure and arpeggio for December. Enjoy producing some tracks with it and just having a mess around and learning how things interact and the harmonies and stuff like that. And with that said, I thank you very much for supporting me throughout the entire year, especially on this series. It's been one of the most well-received series of the year. So I'm looking forward to doing some more next year and making it even better for you guys. So thank you very much for watching. I will look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.